Hello, everybody. This is Nick.
And Matthew from Plastic Tombstone.
And we're back with another episode of I Heard Something About That.
Where Nick and I are going to chit-chat about some stuff we heard about.
Chit and chat with Nick and Matt right here. This is how it goes, old school style.
Woo!
We're talking about Game of Thrones. We're going to talk about, of course, what do we always talk about? Marvel stuff, Ash vs. Evil Dead stuff, video game stuff. We're gonna cover what we found out this week, and
We haven't talked any Breath of the Wild stuff in a while, so
we haven't.
Gonna talk about something else.
So let's do it. Let's start with you had some Ash vs. Evil Dead stuff.
Yeah, well, I brought up that there's been some lack of promotion for season 3.
Yeah, it's just kind of like season 3 is coming out, but nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah, and it's been pushed back possibly to 2018 because of Walking Dead and Stranger Things, and Bruce Campbell did some interview recently that was kind of that's what I'm looking for, kind of dark. Foreboding.
Oh, like the show's in trouble?
Yeah, maybe. He was saying that, he's like, I'm 60 now, and I've got a lot of things I want to do.
Oh.
And I want to get out of doing higher budget stuff, so who knows? This may be the last season.
I mean, hopefully if it's the last season, they know it's the last season, they'll end it with a bang.
I don't know.
Or you think they'll, as long as they don't end it on a cliffhanger, because I hate when series end
and then nothing ever
and then
comes
you
up.
Never hear anything about it again. It's like the worst.
Yeah.
You're left with no closure or anything.
I just hate
that.
that everything I like winds up being canceled.
Well, everything you like is just now starring 60-year-old people.
I know.
So they don't want to do that forever, but you're just like, why not? Come on.
Well, it's like you hadn't been that role since 1993, so come on. You've had plenty of time to
plenty of time to make Bubba Hotep and all the movies you wanted to make.
Just retire as Ash and fuck everything else. I don't care what you want to do.
What is... That's all you would just have him do that his whole life?
Yeah, that'd be it. It'd be done.
Do you feel like if he stops doing it after this season, you'll have a sense of closure for the character at least? Like you got to at least see one last hurrah for him?
It depends. It depends on how the season ends.
Yeah. I know you're a little disappointed with the season 2.
Yeah, so if it ends something like that and it's just not as fulfilling as it should be, then yeah, I'm going to be like, well, I wish they would have done more with it. Or maybe, who knows, maybe they'll do another movie eventually.
Yeah, I mean that would be the way to go. Kill off his character would probably. I think people should do that if they get tired of their character, just kill him off. And at least give him some closure of some kind.
Yeah, they'll kill him off, and then people will get so outraged they'll oh, it was just like an alternate dimension version.
Oh yeah, when they did on Breaking Bad, where it was Walter White was like, yeah. Maybe I'll be back. I was like, no, motherfucker, you died. You're dead. Sorry for spoilers for Breaking Bad, but if you haven't seen it yet, you don't want to see it.
He comes back as a cyborg.
He had terminal cancer and was shot in the stomach. He had what was he gonna do?
Well, it's like they could continue the series without Ash. Fucking Kelly is awesome in that show. She would be able to take over the show, I think, if Ash's character was killed off.
Well, why don't they? Maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll transition over to somebody else, like a younger version.
I don't know. It just seems weird that Starz is not promoting the series at all.
Yeah, maybe they know.
They're just like, no, we don't.
That's what that was the plan for that Neil Blomkamp Aliens movie. He was gonna do a sequel to Aliens, the James Cameron one, pretend 3 and 4 never existed, and he was gonna essentially pass off from Sigourney Weaver to a now grown-up Newt from Aliens. She had grown up at that time, and everybody was still alive, and that's how they were going to continue the series. Was there was going to be, and I think that's a good way to do it. If you're going to continue a series that people like, you got to pass a torch some way, which is the problem Ghostbusters did.
Well, apparently in this season, Ash has a daughter, and they're going to explain why he is the chosen one. So, I don't know. I know. In the second season, it was supposed to be revealed that Kelly was going to be his daughter, through some of the time travel crap they do. Somehow he was going to impregnate her mom.
Oh Jesus!
And it was just going to turn out that all of a sudden that was how the series was supposed to go, which would have been awesome because Kelly's an awesome character.
Yeah,
you need to watch the series with me.
I know we were going to watch it that night, and
I know
we just got caught up doing all those close-ups and stuff. So I'll get to it. I definitely will. I'll definitely go before the next one starts because you said it goes pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
And sticking with TV and stuff, they announced that Mega City 1, that Judge Dredd series, Carl Urban's in talk to reprise his role as Dredd.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Because he was awesome as Dredd.
He was.
He's just he's one of those guys that's yeah, I'll do it if it lines up and they write something good for me. I'm in. He doesn't want to do. Obviously, he's a busy guy. I think he's in Thor Ragnarok next. But
What a great movie, man! Dredd definitely deserved a sequel.
yeah, it was an underrated movie for sure. It wasn't like
It was an underrated movie. It didn't do well in box office, but I think it did pretty well.
yeah, it's culty now.
Yeah.
It's really culty now. Like,
When
like
me
that's
and you
what
went and
happened with.
saw it, we thought it was gonna be terrible because we were like, oh god, they rebooted Judge Dredd.
Yeah, let's go watch it. And it was basically the movie The Raid. If you've never seen that,
Yeah, I've heard
it's,
that.
It's pretty much The Raid.
But-
It's just not a kung fu version, or like a cop version.
But you just gotta love just how badass he is. As
Yeah,
a
he was
character.
like unstoppable throughout the whole thing.
And
That was
and then it's the same thing with the comics too. Like he never takes his mask off in the comics, and that comic's been going on forever.
yeah. Well, you don't need to see his face.
Yeah, even
know?
anytime that he takes off his mask, like it shadows out his face or something. So that's
I
pretty
think
cool.
that might be fading away, hopefully a little bit because of the vanity thing. Because studios wanted recognizable faces. That's why
Sylvester Stallone didn't wear the helmet hardly at all.
and that's why Ryan Reynolds was like Deadpool in the X-Men Origins, but he didn't have his mask.
Yeah,
But then they put the mask on. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. We still know it's Ryan Reynolds. Who cares
Yeah.
if we can see his face or not? You know, it doesn't matter.
they just think. I guess they just assume like every teenage girl is the only people who pay for movie tickets.
Yeah, and you want to see Deadpool in his mask. I mean, he's in his mask a majority of the time. He takes it off.
Yeah.
I think it was a good balance there. But since Dredd never takes his helmet off, he should never take his helmet off.
Yeah, it should never. And it seems like Carl Urban really loves the character and loves playing it. So,
He does. He was opting for a sequel. He was trying to get it going.
Yeah, so that adds a lot to it.
It definitely does. And here's hoping that's a cool series when it comes out.
Yeah,
I hope it
so.
comes. I hope it comes to Netflix because Netflix has been doing pretty good.
Or any like HBO or anything like that. Anything that can really let it push its limits.
Yeah, they showed some concept art, which was pretty cool. I mean, it was just
Because
concept art.
it's a dark series. The comic book is.
Speaking of that, you had Justice League news.
So I heard.
It's always my favorite when you laugh when there's Justice League news. Let's hear it.
So we heard they're doing a bunch of reshoots.
Oh yeah, because of Cyborg.
Not even just I've heard they're doing a lot of reshoots for
Uh-oh.
the whole story. I've heard. I don't know. Take this with a grain of salt, because I heard something about that. So I heard that one of the early screenings of Justice League was unwatchable.
Oh no, the dreaded word you don't want to hear for a movie, unwatchable.
Yeah.
What does that mean, unwatchable? It means like.
Probably means that you want to throw a Molotov cocktail at the screen. It's so bad.
But that means is it convoluted? Does it mean it's boring? Does it mean it makes no sense?
There was no context of what it meant by that. It just said that.
Yeah, just.
And I'm not sure when that, if it was like early screenings or like a recent screening, but
Oof.
I did hear that some of the reshoots are like because of the movie not making much sense or not being good, something.
Oh boy, and like he said, take that with a grain of salt because it's become a widespread thing nowadays. Oh, they're doing reshoots. It's in trouble. Movies do reshoots all the time. Everybody acts like they don't. They're just not as. They're so prominent now in the eye of the public, people making movies, that reshoots everybody thinks of that as a foreboding thing, and it's not.
They're mostly doing reshoots for Cyborg because apparently his story arc was pretty dark.
Oh Jesus!
So they're trying to lighten it up, I guess.
Oh man, see, this is where we get into the debate again, which is they go too dark. They don't need to go that dark with the movie. I mean, they can if they want to, but they can't keep flip flopping like that.
Yeah, because then the movie's gonna come out and it's gonna be like just
It's gonna be
tonally all over the
Suicide
place.
Squad.
Yeah, it's gonna be all over the fucking place.
Which is what I stand by. That's what I felt about that. I was like, oh, this movie's just a lighthearted villains trying to save the day, and then all of a sudden it's like, where'd all this heavy shit come from? Where'd all this psychological damage come from? Oh, just kidding. We're joking around again, and I'm just like, it was a little much for me, which is why Avengers 4 filming is going to be an interesting thing because that's the end. So let's see. What have we had? We've had Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, and now it's going to Justice League. So that's 3 movies. Then it's going into Justice League.
Yep.
And then it's going to go into Flash, I think, and Aquaman, and then another Justice League movie.
And what's crazy too is DC is like their television shows have like their own Superman and own Flash.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
I had an argument with somebody one time that was, I was like, it's weird that universes aren't connected.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, it's fine. That's the way comics are sometimes. But I was like, don't you think that makes it a little confusing, at least for people? So this Superman's not that Superman. That Superman is not dead. Where's Batman? Is Batman going to show like the Gotham Batman? or the
That's-
Gotham villains aren't.
That's the point when you do have to reach out to like the general audience, where in comic books that was kind of our thing. It wasn't for everybody, and we understood that there were multiple universes and multiple characters from those universes.
And let's not kid around. Comics, they just rewrite and retcon is what it's called.
Yeah,
Their histories all the time because they're like, hey, we kind of wrote ourselves into a corner. Fuck it. Rewind. Start over.
But television shows and movies and stuff, you do have to appeal to a broader audience. So
Yeah, you can't like bog them down too much.
you can't make like 3 Supermans and expect people to understand what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. But then Avengers 4 started filming, and it's the end of the 22 movie arc. That was what I was saying. If you have the DC movies, which if it ends with Justice League 2, that's 7 movies. This is 22 movies. That's like 3 times as many movies and 3 times as much story. It's going to have a bigger impact than Justice League 2 is.
Marvel did it right, and everybody's trying to capture that.
I do think
immediately.
I do think somebody's doing it right, and I think it's the Universal monster movies are trying not the Mummy ones, but the King Kong Godzilla ones are trying to like make a monster verse.
Well, that's one of the things. Like they're taking their time. They didn't.
Yep.
When that Godzilla movie, even though I was kind of disappointed there wasn't too much Godzilla in it.
Yeah.
It still didn't try to shove everything into one movie.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have every single monster Godzilla ever faced show up, and then and then here comes King Kong and
Godzilla, the remake of Godzilla, it was more. It played a lot like Jaws more than the original one. It was like it played on your expectation to see him more than anything, and that kind of didn't work as well in this day and age of the way it is. But the battle at the end was awesome. And
have you seen Shin Godzilla?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't either. I heard it was good though.
And then at the end of Kong Skull Island, which is just another campy fun monsters fighting each other movie, they sort of have them in a room and they kind of show them pictures of Godzilla, and like they say King Kong's not the only one, and they show them like cave paintings of Godzilla and Mothra and King Rodan, and what's a 3-headed one, King Ghidorah or something like that. Yeah,
Ghidorah, I think.
So those 3 are going to be in the next Godzilla movie, and then from there,
Mecha Godzilla better show up at some point.
He's probably is going to show up, but like, and then after that, after the next Godzilla is going to be King Kong versus Godzilla, which is going to be. I'm interested to see how that turns out, but
that's pretty cool. I mean, that's doing it right.
Again, that's taking your time.
Your time.
You know, it wasn't like the half of Godzilla was King Kong plugs and vice versa. You know, it was just like make your own movie and then throw a little tag at the end. That's what Iron Man did. That's
make the movie good. Yeah, make the movie good and entertaining. Like Iron Man was a movie I went into not caring about. I was just like, I'll go see it, but I don't care much for Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it was thoroughly entertaining all the way through. And then at the end, you got that tease, and you're like, holy shit, this could be more?
Yeah. And I think the big thing is know your audience and take your time, you know. I don't know. I think they're doing it right, and I'm really interested to see what happens in Avengers 4 because I feel like somebody's got to die, like, permanently.
Going back, somebody probably will. And then was that originally? It was originally supposed to be Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2, so it was only going to be one Infinity War, right? And then I guess Avengers 4 will be a separate.
Yeah, I think so, but yeah, I think they changed the name of this Avengers 4, which is what it's called now. Which that's the only thing that's kind of confusing about the series is that Captain America Civil War felt like the third Avengers movie. It wasn't. It was a Captain America movie, but it felt so much like everybody's so connected now. Their movies are hard to separate, but somehow they don't feel crowded to me. I don't think Civil War felt crowded. There was a lot of characters in that.
I love Civil War.
But since you knew all their backgrounds, save for Black Panther and Spider-Man, those are the only characters you had to introduce.
We got a Black Panther movie coming out soon.
We got a Black Panther movie coming out soon. Then Ant-Man and Wasp is coming out before the fourth Avengers one.
What?
Yeah. That has Goliath in it. I think Lawrence Fishburne's playing Goliath. So, I don't know how that's going to work.
Whatever.
Again,
Thor. I'll just go wrong for the ride, man.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok comes out in
about a month, 3 months.
In November, I think.
Okay,
getting close. That one's the next one I'm looking forward to. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, all the toys and stuff are starting to show up in stores, so it should be anytime now. We'll see it.
So you remember?
No.
There you go. Done. So they released a new game called Sonic Mania. I think you might be interested in. It's basically a mashup of new and old Sonic levels with side scrolling. Like I think it's like 1, 2, and 3, like sort of retweaked levels, but same zones. Like the Green Hill Zone and the Casino Zone are back and stuff like that. But they also built and added new ones, so it's kind of like a true successor to an old school Sonic game, because you know how Sonic's tried to go 3D so many times, and it just doesn't work for some reason.
I wish they would have done something like that with Mega Man, like the Mega Man Legacy collections that came out. It kind of just gives you like a
rehash of all the ones that are already released instead of making a new one.
Well, it does that, but it also does like this mode where like it gives you like a certain section of a level.
Oh,
that you have to beat with like a certain time or something. I can't remember.
Like a time challenge.
Yeah, and I was just like, I wish they would have done like a randomized like craziness level or something.
Yeah, or a level creator. That would have been kind of cool, something like that.
Speaking of level creator, man, what happened to Mario Maker?
Mario Maker's still going pretty strong.
I love that game. I still got it. I haven't played it in a while, and I don't ever hear anything else about it. Like no like downloadable content or anything ever came out for it.
I don't know. I think they released a couple new like character skins and stuff, but most of the stuff was already there, I believe. What Mario Maker has become is like this just grinder of difficult, impossible levels that people are creating, where you have to like literally like spin jump off turtles throughout half the level and turn. It's like, just watch like impossible Mario levels where people die like hundreds of thousands of times.
It was so much fun to go in there. It's like a Mario game that never ends, and I think that was my appeal too. Is like just go in there.
People made easy levels, and then people made like impossible levels, and it was like, I kind of like that with Little Big Planet was the first one to really do that. Yeah. And you and I played a couple of those Little Big Planet levels that were just like, oh, this is kind of easy and cool, and then all of a sudden it was just like
insanity.
What is this thing where if I walk 2 centimeters in the wrong direction, I get electrocuted and I have to start over again? I mean, those things are really popular, especially for people who like. I mean, Minecraft's obviously the huge one,
right?
But people are still doing stuff in Halo Forge.
Yeah.
So like, people are still making new levels. People made like a duck hunt in Halo 5 Forge, like an actual working game of duck hunt where the ducks kind of like fly, but I think they're pelicans and they fly through the air and you shoot them down.
I wish they would have continued the Maker series with like a top-down Zelda Maker game. That'd been a lot of fun.
Some guy tried to make it. He tried to like make a fan version of it, and Nintendo shut him down. And he essentially turned that into a different game that essentially is kind of the same thing. It's sort of like choose your own adventure style.
Nice.
He kind of used like the same engine he was using for Zelda, so you can kind of tell it looks a little bit like Zelda because it's the top-down look and it's got like a Link-looking character, but he's like got
is it
blue
an
hair.
indie game or something on Steam?
I think it's on I think it's on PC. I'll figure out what the name of it is, but it's just like on PC. Remember that Street Fighter Mega Man mashup thing?
Yeah.
It was just on a website. I think that's where it is. It's just like on a website, or the guy was working on getting it released on Steam, I think.
God, I wish somebody would make a good fighting game, creative fighter game where you create your own characters.
I remember Creative Fighter. It was fun, but it was so difficult to make moves.
Yeah.
It was like I made a guy who had an afro, and I tried to make him do a move called the Afro Drill, but it looked like he crouched, and all of a sudden he was like lateral. And then he was spinning, and I was like, this is the most unfluid looking animation I've ever done in my life. But I mean, obviously, that when you play games like that, you realize how creative those people are, especially a game like Mario Maker.
Yeah.
When you have to you realize that a level creator that's a legitimate job in a game, and it's one of the unsung parts of a game, I think.
Yeah.
Level design, because everybody's always about gameplay and characters, but it's just like, if you don't have a good level to be in. Last of Us was really a compelling game with good characters and good mechanics, but if they didn't level design that the correct way, it would have been just boring, you know?
Yeah, right.
It's again, so much goes into video games, and it's sad when they kind of falter or people don't give them enough of a chance because we have such short attention spans these days, you know?
Isn't Sam Raimi directing the Last of Us movie? Or have something to do with it?
The thing is, I don't know what's a rumor anymore. I heard something about that. There you go. That's the name of the show. But again, I have no like concrete information.
Yeah, me either.
It sounds right.
It seems like something I'd heard. I was like, it just popped in my head when you said Last of Us. I'm like, it seems like I heard that somewhere.
Some people just say things, and then it grows on the internet, and it's not even true at all.
Fake news.
It's fake news. It's fake news. So there's this new game everybody's complaining about. It's supposed to be awesome.
Oh, people are complaining?
People are complaining about something. Can you believe that?
Jesus fucking Christ.
So anyway, they made Ninja Theory. They made the Heavenly Sword and the Devil May Cry, the new one.
Yeah.
So it's a hack and slash fighting game. So they made this new game, sort of indie wise. They didn't have a big studio behind them. It's called Hellblade, and it's basically you're a Viking warrior, and your loved one dies, and you sort of go into Viking hell to recover him. It's really cool. It looks really nice, and I haven't really played it, but there's a mode in there that everybody's mad about. There's some people are mad about it. Some people think it's cool. Like, it gives you no tutorials. It doesn't tell you how to fight. It doesn't tell you how to do anything. It just throws you in the game, and then it says good luck. It's potentially a pretty short campaign, like 6 hours or so. But you fight the first guy, and you're supposed to die. Some people don't, some people do. But then when you die, it shows a loading screen. It shows her, and it shows like corruption on her body. And it says, if the corruption reaches your head, you will be lost forever, which means it'll delete your save. So if you're 5 hours in the game and you die too much, it erases your entire progress. Permadeath, essentially. But people are mad because they like that, but they don't like it that there's not an option to turn it off. But I think it's sort of brilliant because it's going to make the game so much more tense.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, why the fuck not?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I really want to play. It's not like a 20-hour campaign. If I was a 19 hours into a 20-hour campaign, I'd probably be like, no, 6 hours ain't that bad. Especially if you do it a couple times.
Yeah.
But there was that mode, and it reminded me of Dying Light. I don't know if you ever played Dying Light.
No, I think you told me about it, though.
It was pretty awesome, but they also had a thing in there where you obviously play the game and you get experience points and you can level up your abilities and stuff. But if you went out during the daytime and you were like, I can take on that horde of zombies, and you died, you didn't lose just a life. You lost experience. They would take like 2,000 experience away from you if you died. So you would like essentially, if you thought you were badass and you would go take on these zombies and you died, there's consequences for that. You would like take a big step back from what you, because I think it was like maybe 15, 20 minutes worth of work to get that many points, killing zombies and stuff.
So it's going back to like the way games we grew up with were.
A little more punishing, yeah.
Yeah, you don't just die and just get to restart. You have to.
That changed that game for me because I played it and I was just like, I'm not going over there. I never did that in games before. I was just like, I'd play Halo and be like, oh, fuck it, I'll try it. And I'll just run in there. If I die, I'll just respawn. But now it's just like, I don't want to risk it. I'm trying to get this grappling hook upgrade. So I like how games are doing that now. And I thought that Hellblade thing was interesting just because it didn't give people the option, but people were just like, I want to play the game, but I want to die a lot. And I'm just like, no. It's the Dark Souls era now.
Play another game.
Play another game, man. There's all kinds of games that do that.
There's like fucking Nintendogs you can go play.
So I know you already own it, but Bayonetta's...
what?
Bayonetta's free.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
The first one or Bayonetta 2?
Bayonetta 1 is free on the... Games with Gold this month.
Okay, I think I did see that on there. I was like, oh, hey, there's Bayonetta.
Yeah. Whenever a game's for 360 Go, Games with Gold, that means they're backwards compatible now. So even if you do own the game, that means you can play it on your One now.
I've got the double pack on the Wii.
Yeah. So there you go.
A Wii U. That's awesome.
I like the Xbox Games with Gold thing. So it's just free games all the time.
It's a good game, man. Hope they make a part 3.
Yeah. So that's the end of the regularly scheduled podcast, right? We got nothing else?
No.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. Me and my girlfriend, who is very hilarious, noticed the other day. We noticed, remember when I told you that when you're a kid, you just wish you could like buy the biggest, baddest super soakers and the biggest, baddest Nerf guns, and as adults, we just don't do it, even though we might have $40 to spare, but we don't want to spend it on a Nerf gun. But if as a kid, that would have been like the greatest thing ever to have like a giant, just But I don't know if this will make it into the podcast, but this was cracking us up yesterday. We were looking at Nerf guns, and we realized that a lot of Nerf guns sound like dildo names. Like this one's called the Regulator. This one's called the Judge. This one's called Twin Shock. This one's called the Mega Mastodon. So we were like, why does every Nerf gun sound like it has this really perverted dildo name to it? It was just cracking us up because we were just now looking for Nerf guns with dirty names for it.
It sounds like fucking sex toys.
The Mega Mastodon's probably the best one. Oh my God, there was one called the Double Breach, which if that's not a...
It's like DVDA.
It might be. If that's not a double-ended curvy dildo, then I don't know what is.
Speaking of dildos,
Uh-oh.
I watched a documentary the other night.
About what?
Called,
Dildos?
Called My Sex Robot.
Oh, no.
It's what dudes are obsessed with having sex with robots, and these other dudes are trying to make robots that you can have sex with, and
Wait, do they feel like people?
it's you just have to watch it. I can't really explain it.
They just ramming their junk into metal parts?
Pretty much. One guy gets his girlfriend hypnotized to think she's a robot.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty creepy. And the worst part is like, people are into whatever they're into, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
But every guy that they showed, they were all guys,
Oh, shocker.
and they were all basically kind of what you'd expect a guy who wants to fuck a robot would look like and act like. They're all kind of dudes that look like they dwell in their mom's basements.
Do look like they've been on a fucking 72-hour Dungeons & Dragons bin, eating nothing but Hot Pockets.
Pretty much, yeah.
We don't like to stereotype here, but come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, well, you guys are kind of living up to the creepy moniker.
Hey, people are... I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but...
Did you watch that HBO documentary, that Mommy Dead and Dearest or whatever?
No.
It was pretty good. You should watch it.
What was that one about?
About this girl who was kind of like, her mom had told her she was like a paraplegic and had cancer and all this stuff all her life, and then she wound up getting her mom killed because she was actually lying to her whole life.
Oh, Jesus.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, what's that called? Munchausen syndrome, where you try to get your kid to have more attention, so you get attention. Sort of?
They got all kinds of Disney trips and stuff, and
ugh, that's rough.
That's nuts. The girl wound up getting 10 years in prison, but
I mean,
because her life was so bad, like it's the best she could get. She could have got life in prison because she didn't actually kill her mom, but she did conspire. Yeah, with the guy that was going to do it. Oof. But her life was so sheltered, like nobody knew. You just have to watch it. Like the things her mom did to that girl.
Yeah, some people shouldn't be parents. Let's just say that.
A lot of people shouldn't be parents.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, that's the end of the regularly scheduled podcast after our really weird rant about sex robots and dildos. Who knows if I'm gonna leave that in? I'm sure it's fine. It's pretty funny. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Check us out on all social media, and we'll see you
next week.
Yeah.
And let's get into Game of Thrones.
As always, full spoiler discussion coming of
spoilers.
Last week's episode.
Last week and all episodes previously. So.
Yep.
And obviously, if you haven't watched the previous episodes, why are you listening to this? But here we go. Let's do it. It was called Eastwatch. That's what it's called. And picked up where it left off with Bronn dragging Jaime out of the water.
Yeah, them two bicker like an old married couple.
Yeah. But it essentially showed that Jaime realizes that they can't win.
Yeah, he's pretty much just like, well,
that was one of them. We can't win that,
We're dead.
So I think that was the whole point of Jaime surviving, is to basically go tell Cersei, yeah, I saw what happened, and, we need to figure something out because we're going to die.
So basically, Jaime is the King's Landing Jon Snow. He's like, hey, dragons are coming, and and Cersei's like, well, we need to take over the 7 kingdoms, and he's like, dragons
are coming. But that scene led to a scene where Tyrion was talking to Varys, and Varys is essentially saying, you got to get her to listen to you. So that makes a plan. Tyrion makes another clever plan, which is essentially, you've got to prove to Cersei that the dead are coming, essentially.
Which, and I think in kind of a way, it's like, I also want you to prove it to us.
Yeah, like Dany wants proof, and everybody wants proof, and poor damn Jon Snow.
Jon Snow, you need to go beyond the wall and drag some dead people.
He's like, really? There's cave paintings in here that I promise I didn't paint.
Have you seen these paintings? They're definitely old.
Real. Look, they have jewels in their eyes. I didn't do that.
Ignore the paint on my fingers. I was just touching them.
So that's essentially what the episode revolved around.
Wait, I have a question.
Tell me.
The White Walkers, they only show up in the snow?
No, I don't know. Maybe they can only survive in the cold.
Because some of the people died at the wall, and they turned into White Walkers, right?
At the wall?
Didn't that happen in one of the earlier episodes?
No, that was the wildlings attacking the wall.
No,
that wasn't the White Walkers.
Didn't one of them turn into a a White Walker though.
Oh, the whites? Yeah, a couple of them got like infected and turned into whites.
How do you do that? Like, couldn't Jon Snow just get somebody infected?
I think that's what's going to happen.
Or find a dead person and just be like, wait.
I think somebody's going to get infected and he's going to drag them back and they're going to come back because there's a lot of people in that little ragtag group of misfits going over the wall.
I hope it's that, what's his name? The guy that had the Stone Man syndrome.
Jorah Mormont?
Yeah, I hope it's him.
All right, so we need to mention this. Fast travel's been unlocked in Game of Thrones Season 7. Everybody gets everywhere really, really fast.
Yeah.
Everybody used to say, I got to go to King's Landing, and you'd see them 3 episodes later finally arrive, and now it's just like, I got to go to King's Landing, and 2 minutes later they're there in the next scene. So basically what erupted, the plan was they needed to get an audience with Cersei. And so the only way to get an audience with Cersei was for somebody to go talk to Jaime, which was obviously Tyrion. And there was sort of a bitter reunion, a bittersweet reunion, I guess, because
Jaime does know, and so does Cersei now, that Tyrion didn't kill.
Yeah, Joffrey. But Jaime was still a little upset because Tyrion did kill his dad.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit like, oh, I know you didn't do that.
But didn't Cersei kind of say a couple of things that made it seem like she thought that maybe they could get Tyrion back on their side?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's trying to like preserve the Lannister name now. I think that might be because her big bombshell was she announced that she's pregnant with another of Jaime's kids.
And Jaime's just like, oh, what are people going to think? She's like, I don't give a fuck.
Essentially, and that's kind of a big deal for Jaime because Jaime has had to hide the fact that those were his 3 kids for so long.
Yeah.
So I think if Jaime was going to turn on her, it's a lot more difficult to turn on her now because she's actually giving him something he's always wanted, was kids that he could call his own, you know?
Yeah.
So, again, things are a lot more up in the air than I thought. The season started out with it seeming like a very one-sided battle with Dany, and then all of a sudden she started losing her forces.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the dragon showed up, and that switched things. So they're like, so now it seems like the focus is now seemingly, thanks to Jon's persistence, it's getting on the White Walkers track.
Yep, he's like, and then him and the King of the Wildlings, or whatever that guy's name is, the
Tormund Giantsbane.
Yeah, that guy looks like he's in a metal band.
He does look like he's in a metal band. So let's talk about, before we get to the Westeros Avengers. That's what they're called. The Westeros Coast Avengers is what people are calling.
Whoever came up with that's fucking brilliant.
It's brilliant, right? Because that's next week's. This was pretty much a setup episode, but a lot of moving parts happened. Littlefinger's plotting again, you know. And
yeah, I kind of figured. I seen Arya go into his room, and I was like,
he knows. Yeah, she hasn't been doing it long. He's been doing it for decades. He's been sneaking, and he knows.
It's just a wonder what his play is, because his character's never really been defined in exactly
what he wants.
What he wants, yeah. I mean, I know he wants fucking.
He wants power in some way, but that's really all he's ever.
But he's also obsessed with the Stark girls.
Yeah,
Stark women.
So
I loved your mother.
So yeah, in the beginning it was Varys and Littlefinger, and it was very much like.
God, I hate his fucking voice.
Varys' voice?
No, Littlefinger's.
Littlefinger's voice. He's the worst.
Sansa.
I think he's a good character. I
love his character. His voice.
His voice is
his
just
voice
terrible.
sends you. No, not that sounds terrible. It's very fitting.
Yeah, he's essentially a snake.
He makes you feel just like, God damn, you're
like uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like, shut up.
So yeah, the letter that Sansa Arya found was the letter from season 1, if you can remember way back when Cersei made Sansa write to Robb about bending the knee to Joffrey to save her father, essentially. Cersei made her write that letter, but it doesn't reflect that. It looks like Cersei is trying to like side with the Lannisters. So Littlefinger obviously planted that in his room to make Arya believe that Sansa is kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Just wants power, which is essentially what she was talking about with their little argument.
Yeah.
Which Sansa just wants to be more important than everybody else, and Arya cares more about her family. So
Arya will whoop that ass.
She will. I'm interested to see where her character goes. I mean, she's still kind of hanging out in Winterfell, but I don't know where she's planning on going. Like what they plan on doing with her.
Let's wait for Jon Snow to come back with some zombies.
Yeah. So
his team, he'll just get his whole team killed and make him fall back.
What else we had? Oh, we
Speaking
had
of his team. The Hound and the Chosen guys or whatever they are.
the Brotherhood.
Yeah, the Brotherhood. They were captured.
Yeah, trying to sneak over the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the big scene. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the very beginning. Dany's talking to the Lannister troops, and got the dragon in the background.
She's like, bend the knee. And
Bend the knee, and a couple of them did it, and the Tarleys
idiots
did not.
Nope.
And so, boom, dragon fire.
Burned
and
them.
Essentially disintegrated them.
Yeah, pretty much.
They didn't have any bones. They didn't have it. They were just a pile of ash by the time it was over with.
Fast cremation, man.
And then, obviously, the rest of the Lannisters, the rest of the Lannister force is like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, we'll bend the. Yeah, sure.
I don't want to be on fire. But she was trying. She was trying her best. You know, you feel for her because she can't. Cersei's not playing nice. Essentially, Cersei's doing whatever she wants. She's blowing up innocent people left and right to get her power. And
turnabout's fair play, man.
yeah, Dany's supposed to like not do anything drastic. You know, she's got to prove that she's got some sort of power. And then you got that scene where the dragon and Jon kind of pseudo bonded, sort of.
Yeah.
So that might hint that Jon is part Targaryen, maybe.
And the dragon's like, "There's no such thing as fucking White Walkers." Jon Snow, stop.
Jon Snow, I'm real. White Walkers are not. Shut up, Drogon. God, nobody listens to me. And then we have that last scene where Sam sort of gets fed up of being a maester and he bails.
Yep, after hearing a
very cryptic. Gilly was asking him what an annulment was.
God, I hate her.
She's kind of the worst, right?
She really is.
I think she's just a plot progression thing. You know,
she should be a plot. Somebody should dig her.
Who's worse? Who's
Somebody,
worse, Gilly or Bran?
God, I don't know. Probably Bran. Still, I still fucking hate him.
He's robot now. He's robot Professor X.
Oh, speaking of that, he's the only time you get to see.
He's the only time you get to see the White Walkers. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on. He's like flying over, and there they are. And I was like, oh, there they are. Oh, no more in this episode. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but next week's episode,
they show up. Man, they show up. It's gonna be the most metal thing ever.
It is, man. They're like, again, they showed the ravens flying over, and it was just like, it was like they just kept going and going.
Yeah,
it's a big, huge army of the dead. Essentially,
the Night King is so cool looking too, man.
So are those dead horses. Those dead horses look awesome.
But I still don't think I still think one of my favorite scenes is when Jon Snow sees he killed all those people and then
he just raises his arms.
Yeah, and those dudes get up and it's just like, holy shit.
Well, it was such a game-changing moment because it's not just his army.
Yeah.
You know, he can essentially turn every person they kill against you, and that's. How do you fight that? How do you even... That's why Jon's so terrified, because it's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Because if we lose 1,000 people, we're just going to have to fight 1,000 people. Like, what are we going to do? And so anyway, Gilly was asked Sam what an annulment was, because one of the Maesters keeps very good notes, and essentially said that Rhaegar Targaryen got an annulment from... I can't remember who he was married to.
I can't either.
Somebody from Dorne he was married to, and he got an annulment and then got married in a secret wedding the same day and then he cut her off. So that could be Lyanna Stark, which would make Jon part Stark, part Targaryen, which is has more of a claim to the throne than anybody, I think.
Which means that if him and Daenerys have like a relationship, it's gonna be another
incestuous relationship. So there you go.
You can tell that they're already building on that. They're kind of playing at that.
Yeah, she was kind of swooning for him a little bit this episode, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, Jon, don't go, but just don't talk about the White Walkers."
Just like Captain Friendzone was poor. Just like he's just like, oh man, every time I come back, I get cured from an incurable disease, and there's a pretty boy, King of the North, in my way again. He can't win. So let's talk about the Westeros Coast Avengers here, because. I wish I could say I coined that phrase. I did not coin that phrase, but that's what we're going to call them.
So the Hound and the Brotherhood.
The Hound and the Brotherhood got captured at the Wall. We got Tormund.
Yep, and then
we got Jorah Mormont. And we got.
Do you think he was getting annoyed? Do you think he was getting annoyed that every time he tried to like look at Daenerys, like Jon Snow would just pop up?
He was just he was like, oh come on, he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, you can't
deny. He's a pretty boy, and that looks like your father. So, I don't think she's gonna go after the guy who's slightly her age and probably related to her, and not the old man who might have giant scars on his body now. So,
anyways, yeah. So
and then Gendry showed up. The fan favorite Gendry showed up.
yeah, he's got a fucking hammer.
Yeah. Well, he was Robert Baratheon's bastard son, and Jon Snow is Ned Stark's quote-unquote bastard son.
But it's just like, yeah, don't tell him about you're being in. He was like, hey, by the way, my dad was.
Yeah.
Jon Snow's
he just got sick of lying, and there was a joke when Davos met him, said, "Oh, I thought you'd still be rowing," because everybody said at the end of the 4th season or ever when he rowed away, like, is Gendry still out there rowing? Because we didn't see him for like 3.5 seasons. He's just out there rowing, but apparently he just went back to King's Landing and hid right under the Lannisters' nose, and they didn't even know he was there. So
now he's like, "Give me this hammer. He's like Thor, pretty much. He's the Thor, Game of Thrones Thor."
Yeah, and he whooped those guys. That was a good tense moment when they were trying to like get away on that boat, and then
he pulled a good hammer. He pulled a good Cannibal Corpse song. Hammer smash face.
Hammer smash face. Yeah, and then Tyrion, they were like, it was a little tense, and then Davos paid off the guards, and they go, "What's in the boat?" And they look in the boat, and then Davos kind of got him to go away, and then perfect timing, Tyrion walks down the stairs and like, "Oh, who are you? We're looking for you," and then Gendry smashes him in the face.
Yeah, he's just like,
so
whack.
Essentially to show Gendry's he's a good soldier, so hopefully he doesn't get introduced again in one episode and die in the next.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't turn into a White Walker, and then they have one with a hammer.
Why? Hopefully they made a hammer out of dragon glass, because that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
hopefully Jon Snow and them took some dragon glass with them.
I think they did.
Okay.
That's what those crates were. They had to go, but they took some of them, so hopefully.
I don't know how it's going to turn out. I wonder
what's going to happen. Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts in this next episode, and they're going into a dangerous place, essentially running headfirst into the army, and the Night's King shows up. We see it in the preview for next episode. So that's probably going to be the bulk of the episode, hopefully.
What if Jon Snow and the Night King just have like an epic like Star Wars battle?
That'd be awesome.
Fuck the whole episode.
The whole episode's just one big long sword fight. Well, he has Valyrian steel, so
yeah,
that'll cut down. That was the big reveal of last year or the year before, that Valyrian steel can kill a White Walker. Valyrian steel and dragon glass. That's there, but I don't know. I don't know if you can counter that, because for everyone you take down, again, you lose one, he comes back. So who's gonna die? Let's call it, because not everybody's making it out of this thing.
I'm going with that Jorah Mormont guy.
Jorah Mormont's not gonna make it.
Yep, he's gonna bring. Since Daenerys was so welcoming of him coming back, because I know the last time he tried, she was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
and he was like, "Oh, I've been turned into a stone man."
Yeah, I love how you have like these like inner monologues for these people. Like they're very simple. "Oh, I'm gonna turn into a stone man."
Well,
that's how he felt.
That's how he felt. That's his feelings.
That's his feelings inside.
I love Daenerys, and I'm gonna turn into a stone man.
Jon Snow's untouchable.
Jon Snow won't die.
At this point, he can't be, because
what if he does die? What if he just killed Jon Snow?
I don't know, man. It is Game of Thrones, but I can't imagine, because he hasn't figured out his parentage yet. And it's such an important part of the books and the show period of who his parents are, that I don't think they can like let him die without addressing it in some way.
Oh, this episode he seen he met back up with what's his face that turned into Reek. Or was that
Theon? That was
Theon.
the last.
That was
one.
last episode. Okay.
Yeah, where he essentially was like, the only reason you're alive is because you helped Sansa escape.
Yeah.
But everybody, the thing happens on the internet is like, people will recap for you, and if you don't remember, the reason Jon hates Theon Greyjoy so much is because essentially Theon Greyjoy went to the Iron Islands to recruit his father to help fight the North, and Theon said, "Nah, we're gonna take Winterfell," and he just took Winterfell and essentially faux killed Bran and Rickon in front of everybody, and just sort of killed a bunch of the people who lived in Winterfell, which is essentially people Jon grew up with. So Jon knew about that. He was at the wall. He couldn't do anything about it, though. I think even in the episodes, he was like, "I got to go help my family," but they were like, "You can't. You took an oath." But he's not bound by that anymore, so because he technically died.
Yep, and now he's going right on out into the wilderness.
So Jorah Mormont's out. I'm afraid. What's his face? The Wildling guy is going to go. I'm worried for him.
I don't know. He's the only person that really represents the Wildlings, though. It's the only thing with him. Like the other one, everybody else is just kind of
Tormund. Yeah. Does the Hound make it?
Gotta hope so. He's my favorite character.
He's pretty awesome. He's got to fight his brother, though. His brother's the Mountain. I feel like there has to be some sort of showdown between the two of them. I don't know. It's Game of Thrones. It's awesome. So
God, I hope to see the Hound just destroying some fucking White Walkers.
I'm sure.
God,
That's
awesome.
why I think historically Game of Thrones, the episode before the finale is always huge.
Yeah.
Is always the biggest one. Which is saying a lot because there's been some big episodes already.
These are the last two, right?
Yeah.
This one, man.
Yeah, and the last one's like an hour and a half long. I think this one's probably going to be stretched like an hour and 15 minutes.
Can I just say again how beautiful that show is? Like,
mm-hmm.
I got a TV from you last night, and the bigger TV than what I had, but just God,
watching it just makes such a big difference. Just seeing all the detail.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I knew the show was beautiful, but I really got to sit there and appreciate it last night. Just how wonderfully shot it is. And the dragons look amazing now.
Yeah.
Everything. I can't get over like the cinematography and everything of that show.
Yeah.
That's what's so. I think even if it was like super boring, I would still be kind of like
enamored by it because of the what is that called? It's cinematography, right? That's the term.
That and even the character designs and stuff like the clothing, everything.
Yeah. They put a lot of effort into that. A lot of effort into that show. And you could tell like it's funnier because if you watch earlier seasons, it's like they cut away from big battles because they didn't have the budget.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, big battle scene. And then you just see a couple people get chased out by White Walkers, and that was the end of it. There was supposed to be a huge battle on the other side of the wall where the first men were.
Yeah.
Is when you first really saw the White Walkers and the dead horses. It just like cut at the end of the episode, and then it came back, and they were just kind of there. And it's like everybody was already kind of dead. So it was kind of like you could tell they couldn't afford it, but now that they can, we're getting dragon battles and we're getting boat battles and we're getting.
It's insane, man.
The Unsullied, where the hell are they? I haven't seen them since episode 3. They're just kind of hanging out in Castle Rock.
Yeah, they're like, we got this place, guys. Yeah, I thought Grey Worm would be dead by now.
Yeah, I mean maybe they're saving him for next season.
Maybe
there seems to be a truce forming, or an armistice as they call it, where everybody's just like finally agreeing with Jon Snow. Guys, there's more important things going on here than this goddamn throne that doesn't really matter. We're all gonna die. So,
who do you think's gonna die of the Westeros Coast Avengers?
Again, I'm afraid for Tormund. For some reason, because I feel like he's a fan favorite. I feel like he might go. A little scared for the Hound. Little scared for Gendry because he just came back. I'd hate for him to go. I think those Brotherhood guys are gone.
Yeah, they'll probably be gone as far as like when they die. It's not gonna be a big deal.
It's not a big deal. We're talking about
somebody that's gonna affect something.
It's got to be Jorah Mormont.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's what I'm saying. It's you bring him back and show Daenerys that what happened to him. Especially, it'd be kind of funny because
if they brought him back as a white.
Yeah, because he just beat that stone man scale thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, too bad. Sorry, now you're a zombie.
I'm tense about it, man, because I know somebody's got to go. They can't all make it back. Jon Snow's the only safe one. Yep. Really, he's the only safe one.
Like you said, I still think the Hound has to fight the Mountain.
Yeah, I hope that's what happens. I hope the Hound makes it.
And you want to see the Hound meet Arya again too.
Yeah, because he was technically on her list, but I don't know. It's hard to tell if he forgave her or not, or she forgave him or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because she kind of just let him die, and I think she felt like that was a bigger. But she was also developing sort of a friendship with him throughout their little travels. Yeah. Who is Arya's best, I don't know, counterpart?
The Hound.
The Hound. I thought she was really good when she was the cup girl for Tywin, and she was kind of just like essentially mocking him with the northern rules and stuff like that.
That was good too, but. Her and the Hound, I thoroughly enjoyed their little adventures. I really look forward to that every week, like what they were going to be doing.
Yeah.
And the Hound, every time he's on, it's just fucking great. He
didn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit. I love that.
Yeah, he's just. I'm glad to see him back, and I hope he survives.
Yeah.
I think he's on a weird redemption path, so I feel like he might be safe.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like it's Tormund or Mormont.
Yeah, Mormont. I think it's probably going to be him because.
The Brotherhood people are dead.
Yeah.
Poor Gendry, probably. Let's hope not. Hopefully he smashed some whites with a hammer first. But it's going to be an epic episode.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It already looks pretty dark and moody.
It's gonna be intense.
Yes, it's going to be definitely intense, and it's going to be.
And then we got one episode after that, man.
And then close it out again. Oh boy.
We might have a special guest talk with us next week about
Yeah,
that.
we're going to try to get our good friend Craig Gregg. I was originally going to have him on, but he was kind of behind on the Game of Thrones, and then apparently in 2 weeks he watched from season 3 up to the last week's episode in like 2 weeks. So he's all caught up, and he might have some more insight into it because he's recently seen more of it than you and I have.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a lot to take in, man.
It is a lot to take in.
It's one of those shows that you almost have to binge watch because there's so much.
Yeah. I think we're going to try to watch all of it before the last season comes out, which there's rumors that it might still come out in 2018, but people are thinking it might be 2019.
Oh, man. I don't want to wait that long.
Ugh, it's a year. 6 episodes, though, and they're all, apparently the scripts are all done for them, and they're trying to figure out the shooting schedule for it, but they're all pushing 80 minutes each.
Wow.
So they're trying to get as much out of it as they can. And, again, I go back. I'm with you. I want to see the end, but I also take your time, do it right.
Yeah,
I can wait a year if it's amazing.
Right.
You know, maybe they'll even do a theatrical run of it, which would be kind of fucking cool.
That would be nuts.
Yeah, but we should have a season. We should have a season finale party or something.
Yeah.
For this one, just come over, have everybody over, and just watch the last episode.
Yeah.
And we can do like a fresh podcast, like right afterwards or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's all from us. Tune in next week when we find out who didn't make it.
See if me or Nick will turn into a White Walker.
Oh my God, that's it. You and me are just gonna show up in Game of Thrones. I'm gonna just be wearing this shirt and a pair of jeans, and I'm gonna be a White Walker, and you'll be like, "What's that guy doing there?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
Oh, Nick's a White Walker. Okay.
Nick's a White Walker now. All right, see ya. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be an excellent episode.
I hope so. I've been dying to see the damn White Walkers do something.
Yeah. Well, you're about to see it next week.
Yep.
Looks awesome. All right. We'll see you next time.
Stay groovy.